Okay, hello. My name is Marcia Lopez, and today I am going to discuss how to conduct a proper conference call. So the beginning steps of a conference call are to be sure how to know how to send out a conference call invite. There's different ways, so you can do Teams, Skype, Zoom, or in person. And we will be reviewing how to send a Teams invite to our customers. So here's an example on the invite itself. You're gonna have, a to, and you need to be sure you know who you need to send out the invite to. So it could be more than one person. It could be a whole team of people. On the subject line, you need to make sure that your subject line kind of explains a little bit of what you're going to discuss. So as an example, I just went ahead and did scheduling a conference call. Another example could be customer discussion, or you could, say project meeting, X, Y, and Z. The location, and it'll either say a Skype meeting or a Teams meeting. It could be in person, or you could say like in your boss's office. The start time, be sure to send out the invite with enough time for the customer to, or internal, employees to accept. So don't send out an invite that's, in the next 30 minutes, because that doesn't give them enough time to accept or decline the meeting. So I usually like to give them, if it's Monday at work, I'd like to give them two days roughly to accept the meeting. Also, you can see there's if it's an internal call, you can see their schedule and availability. If it's a customer call, you won't be able to see that, but they have a option of accepting or declining the meeting, and you can, reschedule. On the end time, I typically just like to do 30 minutes. If it's a really long discussion or a really long or difficult topic, I like to do an hour. Be sure to be mindful of other people's time as well, because there's many meetings that are scheduled and some people have back-to-back meetings, right? So make sure that when you're having these discussions, you're very precise and you're to the point. So after you do that, it's going to send a link right here. You can join with a conferencing device, so you could call in with your phone and go ahead and send it. So some tips to conducting a conference call are to, well, per the Business News Daily, when on a conference call, start promptly and have an agenda. So this is very important because you just don't want to seem lost in the meeting. You should choose a quiet place, mute your phone when you're not speaking, be sure to address everyone on the meeting. A few other key tips from the Business News Daily is to encourage participation from attendees, appoint a note taker, end meeting on time, and summarize action items. The last step is very important to assure everybody knows what they need to action. So when we have customer calls, sometimes they'll say like, oh, let me get this report to you by Wednesday. Be sure to send out a meeting note after the meeting, right? Stating that, so-and-so said the report would be sent out on Wednesday. And that way you can just follow up if it's not sent. The reasons of a call. Having conference calls can really have different reasons, right? You could communicate internally with your team. So if you need to, you could have an internal call with them to discuss either a customer or an event that's going on. You can schedule a call to communicate with your customers. It could be about just getting to know them, introducing yourself, and or if they need to provide you with certain information. And also you can have a conference call to to discuss the statuses of a specific project that you're working on. Per Small Business Cron, a weekly status meeting have a central purpose, right? It's to establish the status of a project. So there will be some cases where we have weekly calls with either internal or external people. And that is just to make sure that we all stay on task and we complete the project that we need to by a certain time frame. When having weekly meetings, we should allow time for participants to get ready and work on specific objectives in the days that follow. So if you're scheduling a meeting on Monday, make sure you give them enough time to work on what they need to work on to schedule the following meeting. So I typically like to, schedule meetings for Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then I give them about 5 to 7 days to complete what they need to, and then reschedule another one. The benefits of a conference call are that, since the world started changing really, working from home has become more popular. And so we've adapted that, and that's why we have conference calls, through video chat and or just over the phone. Conference calls per Small Business Cron also allow people from different geographic locations to meet at a prearranged time. This is actually very true for our office. So we typically have meetings with different countries. For example, I have meetings with South America, and having a conference call really is helpful. That way we can just tackle the issues very quickly instead of sending emails back and forth. Conference calls can really just facilitate business communications, and it connects very many people across the world. So not only do I have meetings with South America, I've also had meetings with people in China, and I've had meetings with people in the Netherlands, and our team does conference calls pretty often. So we do typically 5 to 7 conference calls every 3 to 4 days. Benefits continued, right? So video conferencing is also another, it's just a newer thing, right? So there's apps like Microsoft Teams and Zoom, Skype. They allow for us to see each other and just communicate really well. Zoom is very popular, and it also allows for a large group of people to meet. Per Community Cloud, video conferencing is more engaging and efficient. It improves communication and improves productivity. So instead of just being on the phone and not being able to see our faces, I would say that video conferencing is a lot better. That way I can get to see you and, what you look like, get to know you a little bit better and put a face to the name. It allows for our teams and customers to get to know each other, and you can form connections this way. It also allows for employee retention as well. Some people do say that there are some disadvantages to conference calls, right? Some dislike conference calls because they say it's not as effective as face-to-face. The video chatting does help a lot though. For example, Geeks for Geeks stated that a disadvantage of teleconferencing is that there's technical challenges. This could really be you're having an issue with your computer or the internet goes out, things like that really just is a disadvantage. But if you end up experiencing something like this, just try to reconnect or try to advise the people in the meeting that you're having issues. They also mentioned that nonverbal communication and human contact is dismissed and that it is an important part of business. So typically we haven't really been able to meet customers face to face. It's been a lot different for our office since we go back to the office about twice a week now. So we get to talk to everybody internally, but with customers, not yet. So this is a little bit better than just not having any calls with customers at all. So Another one says that it encourages multitasking while people are in conference calls, which means they're not really paying attention. I would say to that, you can just keep everyone engaged, ask questions, and um, see if you can just grab people's attention. That way they can pay attention to you while you have a call. And conference calls in general, during the pandemic, many people had to work from home, which meant business was done through the computer mainly, or your cell phone. There's many advantages because we can meet online in the platforms that have been developed recently, and they can improve communication with internal teams as well as other customers. It is better than just emailing back and forth. So I do think that conference calls are great, especially if you do a video conference call. You get to meet your customer over the phone, get to talk to them. It's very convenient because you can just choose a time. So I very much like it, and I think this will be beneficial in the future. Some key points is to be sure to schedule your conference call. You need to be on time to these calls, so try to be like 2 to 3 minutes early before it starts. That way you can greet everyone as they come in. Be sure to take notes. That's very important, and assign somebody to take notes. That way you have something at the very end, and you're not just trying to recall it from your memory. Be sure to end your meeting on time because you may not be the only meeting on their schedule, and send out meeting notes to assure everybody knows what their action is. Besides that, thank you very much for joining this call on training on how to do a proper conference call. I will be sending out some meeting invite, another follow-up meeting invite, but also some meeting notes and a handout. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.